Hello, everyone. This is Gabby at English Staples. Welcome, welcome, welcome. In today's lesson, we'll study the word any, performing as a pronoun, as an adverb, and as an adjective. We'll take a close look at any plus comparative adjective and comparative adverb, any plus abstract concepts, any plus free choice, any in offers, invitations, and requests, any plus conditionals, and negative affirmative any. At the end of the lesson, there are two practice exercises. Practice exercise 1 is a total of 5 questions and answers, suitable for beginner and intermediate learners. Practice exercise 2 is a total of 10 questions and answers, suitable for beginner and intermediate learners. Any. The definition of any refers to an open, non-specific quantity. Any could be one or some of whatever kind. In other words, one of whatever kind or some of whatever kind. The parts of speech that any performs as a pronoun, any as an adverb, and any as an adjective. Let's start with number 1, any as a pronoun. The form is any replaces the noun, and it stands to reason because a pronoun substitutes for a noun. We're going to now see any performing in that context of replacing a noun. If the noun in the sentence is clear, we can replace the noun with a pronoun. In other words, if we are talking about a specific noun and it is clear in the conversation that we're talking about this particular noun, when next we refer to that noun, we can use a pronoun instead of the noun. For example, do you have any apples? We know we're talking about the fruit, apples. Yes, I have some. That's correct. No, I don't have any. That too is correct. The difference here is that in the affirmative response to the question, do you have any apples? The affirmative response says, yes, I have some. So here, some is the pronoun. Instead of saying, yes, I have apples, we say, yes, I have some. So some is replacing the word apples. So some is a pronoun. But our main focus in this lesson is on the word any. In the negative, we say, no, I don't have any. We could have said, no, I don't have apples. But it is clear that the noun we're talking about is apples. So I can safely respond by saying, no, I don't have any. So any is the pronoun that is replacing apples. Do you see this? Be careful. We do not say, no, I don't have any ones. Okay? Do not say that. That's incorrect. Do you have any homework? B responds, yes, I have some. Some is a substitution for homework. So some is the pronoun for homework. That's correct. Or B could have responded, no, I don't have any. That too is correct. So here in the negative, we see any is the substitution for homework. In this question, do you have any apples? Apples is a countable noun. And the response is, yes, I have some. The negative, no, I don't have any. Some and any are the pronouns for the countable noun. Let's look at the second example. Do you have any homework? Homework is non count or uncountable noun. Affirmative response is yes, I have some. And the negative is no, I don't have any. The same responses, just like that of the countable noun. Do you see that? From what we can see here, we use any in questions and in negative statements. Let's move on to our mini practice. Fill in the blanks with some or any. Do you have any water? Yes, I have. What would you say? If you said some, I agree. Are there any pens? No, there aren't. What do you think? Any. I totally agree with that. So we've completed any as a pronoun. Now we look at the second part of speech, which is any as an adverb. The form is any plus comparative. Any as an adverb is used mainly with comparative adjectives and comparative adverbs. When any is an adverb, it means even a small amount or even a little or to the smallest degree. So it depends on the context in which any is used. One of these three meanings will apply. For example, is the weather any better today? So we have the word any and we have a comparative better. Remember, good and the comparative to good is better. Is the weather any better today? So any here is an adverb. How do we know that? Because it's modifying the adjective better. Better here is an adjective and it is describing weather. Better weather. So any is modifying the adjective. We can see here, according to this grammar rule, adverbs modify verbs adjectives, other adverbs, and sentences. In this case, we see where any is modifying the adjective better. So here, adverbs modify adjectives. The oranges aren't any sweeter this year. Sweeter is the comparative, comparing the oranges last year with the oranges this year. And we're saying that they aren't any sweeter. So here, any is modifying the adjective sweeter because sweeter is describing the oranges. And the same rule applies here. Adverbs modify adjectives. So here, the word any in both sentences is an adverb. One more example. She isn't any taller than her sister. So here we have the comparative taller. So we have the adjective tall, and then the comparative is taller. Any is modifying taller. In this context, any is an adverb because it's modifying the adjective taller. Now, if you look at the word any here, it has one of these meanings. Is the weather even a little better today? Or maybe the oranges aren't even a little sweeter this year. She isn't even a little taller than her sister. Or she isn't even taller than her sister to the smallest degree. Do you see that? Contrast for clarity, just to make things a little bit clearer. Better versus any better. It's better means that there is some improvement. The weather is better. There's some improvement in the weather. It isn't any better means zero improvement. Mini practice. Fill in the blanks with some or any. Is speaking English easier now? What do you think here? Is English any easier now? That's correct because it's a question. Remember, we said that a few minutes ago. He doesn't work harder than before. He doesn't work any harder than before. That's correct because this is a negative statement, so we use any. So let's continue looking at any as an adverb. We continue with the comparatives. Any as an adverb is used mainly with comparative adjectives and comparative adverbs. For example, any better, any worse, any harder, any more, any less, any longer. Any is working as an adverb. So these comparatives, if they are adjectives, the combination is okay because adverbs modify adjectives. And if these comparatives are working as adverbs, any working alongside them, it's okay because we see adverbs modify other adverbs. Why this is true? We said earlier, any as an adverb is used mainly with comparative adjectives and comparative adverbs. Why this is true? Well, when any is an adverb, it means even a small amount, or even a little, or at all, which means to the least extent. It's making a change or an adjustment, even a little, when we use that word any, because it's open and it's non specific with quantity. We don't know. We're trying to show how true this is, having any working with comparatives. We have established that any is even a small amount or even a little or at all. And we're seeing that the comparatives already talk about change or they talk about differences. For example, better means some improvement, even a little bit, or even if it's to the least extent, it's still some improvement. Harder, there is some increase, even if it's a little bit more effort. Do you see this? Longer, more time. You might work half an hour more. There is a change or there's a difference in time. So you can see any working alongside comparatives, how well they really work together. So any fits naturally because it asks or denies even the smallest change. For example, is it any better? So any fits naturally because it asks, is it any better? Even a little change? They work perfectly together. I'm not any better. So any fits naturally because it denies even the smallest change. I am not any better. I am not even a little better. My health is not even a little improved. Do you see this? She doesn't work any harder. She does not work even a little harder, not even a little more effort. Do you see this? Therefore, any, which could be zero amount of change or difference versus some change or difference, plus the comparative, which gives some change, they make the perfect natural pairing. Do you see this? So now we've completed any as pronoun and adverb. Let's look at any as an adjective. And for the rest of the lesson, any is going to be working predominantly as an adjective. And we'll see different aspects of any working as an adjective. What's a determiner? Well, the word determiner is a noun, and it means a word placed before a noun to clarify what the noun refers to. Example: a, an, the, this, that, my, and so on. The form is any plus noun. Here we have two sentences. Do you have any friends? Question. There aren't any students here. A negative. So we're going to use these two sentences to explain this note. Any as an adjective is a determiner because any comes before a noun, and any refers to an unspecified number or amount of that given noun. In negative sentences, that number or amount is denied. Let's break this note down. Any as an adjective is a determiner because any comes before a noun. Here, in both the question and the negative, we see the word any. We have any friends. Friends is the noun. Here, in the negative, we have any students. Any comes before the noun students, right? And any refers to an unspecified number or amount of that given noun. Here in the question, we have any friends. Any here could be one or some, more than one, of whatever kind. Whatever kind is friends. It goes on to say in negative sentences, that number or amount is denied. So here, there aren't any students here. There aren't any students. That simply means zero students. There are no students here. That seems contradicting, right? Because now we have any, which means it's open, it's non specific. It could be one or some students. But then we're saying that there aren't any students, so that's zero. Any still has its meaning here. Any is still open and carries the meaning of open, non specific, one or some. It still carries that meaning. However, the negative verb are not contracted as aren't creates the zero meaning. Do you see that? So the negative sentence denies the existence of the quantity represented by any. In other words, the word aren't denies the unspecified number that any represents. We could say here for negative sentences, any opens the door, but negative slams the door shut. Use any in questions and negative statements for count nouns and non count nouns. So here we see this happening. Do you have any friends? Questions. Any in questions. And negative, there aren't any students here. Negative. Friends and students are both count nouns. Do you have any time? Question. Non count nouns. This satisfies this, but we have here time is a non count noun. I don't have any money. Negative. Any is present in the negative, but money is non count. Use some in affirmative statements for count and non count nouns. So let's look at this non count. Seth has some money. The girls have some time. So we see these non count money and time, non count, but we see some because these are affirmative statements. Seth has some money. The girls have some time. I have some faithful friends. Affirmative, we use some. Some students are here. Affirmative. Count noun, friends and students. Let's look at a mini practice. Fill in the blanks with some or any. I don't have energy. What would you say? If you said any, I totally agree with you. It's a negative statement, so we're going to use the word any. Do you have siblings? What would you say here? Any siblings? I totally agree. This is a question. We use any questions. We have free time today. Which will it be? We have some free time today. I totally agree with that because this is an affirmative sentence. And we see that here. We use some in affirmative. So we're continuing to look at any as an adjective. Why plural count nouns? So this lesson was actually inspired by a student who asked the question, can I say, do you have any friend? Singular. Let's see if we can say, do you have any friend? Let's check and see if this is correct grammar. Any is a non-specific word. In questions and negatives, any usually means one or more. It doesn't matter which. The word any is a non-specific quantity word. So we need to make sure we understand that. Because count nouns can be counted, English grammar expects them in the plural when the quantity is unknown or open-ended, just like with any, right? Because count nouns can be counted, English grammar expects them in the plural when the quantity is unknown. See, like the word any is unknown or it's open-ended. Therefore, any plus plural count noun. So whenever you use any, you should use plural count noun with it. Did you buy any books? Right? So we have any and the plural count noun books. Do you see that? That's what this note is saying. When you use unknown quantity, any, you have to use the plural noun that follows. Any books. Do you have any friends? This answers the student's question. Do you have any friends? Has to be friends, not friend. Are there any students here? Any, and then we have students. Do you see this? Any plus plural count noun signals one, two, or many. Any number is possible when you use any. Any number is possible. Therefore, plural count noun is necessary. Do you see this? So to answer that student's question, can I say, do you have any friend? No, you can't say that. You have to say, do you have any friends? Simply because of this rule. Any plus plural count noun. Any could be any possible number. So you have to use a plural count noun with it. Why not singular count nouns? So we just look at plurals and now we're going to talk about why not singular count nouns. A singular count noun usually needs a or an or one or a specific determiner. For example, my, this, his. Do you have any friend? We can't say that. In modern English, this sentence, do you have any friend? It sounds wrong. But sounding wrong is not enough for a non native speaker. So the real reason why it's wrong is any does not mean one. Do you see this? The word any does not mean one. In yes no questions, any means an open quantity. In other words, one or more. It could be one, it could be two, it could be 10, it could be 100. We don't know. We don't know which or how many in yes no questions. Do you have any friend? We don't know how many. So we have to say, do you have any friends? Because we don't know what any is. Because the quantity is open ended, English grammar requires a plural form for count nouns. For count nouns. This is a count noun. One friend, two friends, three friends, 10 friends. It's a count noun. So grammatically, any equals an unspecified quantity, and singular count nouns is exactly one. Singular count noun. Friend is one, and any is unspecified quantity. Therefore, these two ideas conflict each other. Do you see this? That's why, do you have any friend is wrong. Any equals one or more. Plus, friend is singular, means exactly one. Result in a logical mismatch. We have to say, do you have any friends? One friend, two friends, many friends, all are possible with this question. Do you have any friends? So the core rule in questions and negatives, any ask about an unknown number. In questions and in negative statements. Singular count nouns show one. Because any does not mean one, the noun must be plural. I sincerely hope this answers the question for that student and any other student who might have this question in their minds. I hope this makes it clear. Any as an adjective continues. Well, we're going to look at an important clarification here where we have any plus singular count noun. We just looked at any with singular count noun. But you might be thinking, So why do we say, do you have any idea? And this is actually a correct question. I could have more than one idea. So why is this right? This is singular.
Hmm.
Do you have any idea how worried I was when you didn't call? Well, this is what we just talked about. Let's dive into this. Is there any chance? Say singular again, because I could say I have two chances. Maybe we're all playing a board game or something. And I say, oh, I have two chances. This is my first chance. I have a second chance. But here we're asking the question, is there any chance? Remember before we said we couldn't say, do you have any friend? And this is singular and it's a no. But here, these are singular and they're okay. Let's look at one more. If you have any problem, call me. Now, somebody could have many problems, right? You can. But here, these are okay. These are exceptions. These exceptions do not break the any plus singular count noun rule. This rule over here. We just looked at this question. Do you have any friend? And we said that we could not say that because the real reason why it's wrong is any does not mean one. We just said that. But what this is saying is that these three exceptions do not break this rule, the any plus singular count noun rule. These are just exceptions. We just talked about this as well. It says, so grammatically, any means unspecified quantity. Singular count noun is exactly one. So the two ideas conflict each other. These nouns, idea, chance, and problem, are not being counted as items. They are treated as abstract concepts, which are similar to uncountable or non count nouns. Do you see this? In these sentences, any means even the smallest amount of, or at all, or even a little. These sentences have a different grammatical use, not a normal count noun pattern. So, just to reiterate, sometimes any is used with singular count nouns, as we saw here, when they talk about ideas, possibilities, abstract use, emphasis, not numbers. You see that? These nouns behave more like uncountable ideas. Let's look at any in offers, invitations, and requests. Offers. In an offer, any is used to express openness, no expectation of acceptance. In other words, when you make an offer using the word any, there is no expectation that the person that you make the offer to is going to say yes. Example, would you like any tea or coffee? You don't expect a yes answer. And we'll look at that a little bit closer later. Let me know if you need any help. So the person will say, yes, I will need some help, or maybe just never accept your offer. When we use any in this context, there is no expectation that I accept your offer. Invitations. In an invitation, any is commonly used to offer flexibility or to ask for specific requirements from the guest. For example, come by my home anytime on Saturday. I'm making jerk chicken and homemade ginger beer. Jerk chicken is a dish that originated in Jamaica. Ginger beer is a refreshing, non alcoholic ginger drink. It's very common in Jamaica as well. You can come anytime during the day on Saturday. It offers flexibility. Or stop by any evening. Again, it's open and it's flexible. Any evening you want, you can come to my home. So that's any in invitations. Let's look at any in a request. Any is used to express non specific quantities. Okay, we said that before. The sentence sounds more polite. So the example would be, would appreciate any information you can provide. So we're looking for information and we're requesting information, but we're not asking for anything specific. We don't want to really put you out of your way. So we're going to say, oh, we'd appreciate any information you can provide. Do you have any advice how to handle this client? You're being polite and you're asking, do you have any advice? You see how it's nicely presented? Do you have any advice how to handle this client? Even a little advice, even a little information. Free choice, any. Here we're going to look at any used in positive affirmative sentences. Usually, when we speak about an affirmative sentence, we mean that the sentence is in its positive form. But notice here, we're using the words positive affirmative sentences. Let's see what that is all about. Free choice, any, talks about the use of the word any in positive affirmative sentences to mean it does not matter which is chosen. It does not matter which thing is chosen. This happens when there is no specific number in mind and the person is offering an open ended selection. It doesn't matter. It's open ended. There is no number that the person is thinking of. Some common situations for free choice, any. Permission. You may borrow any outfit, any handbag, and any shoes from my closet. Any. It's an affirmative sentence and it's quite positive. There is nothing negative about it. It's open. You can choose whatever you like. It doesn't matter. So these are common free choice, any outfit. That means you can borrow one, you can borrow five pieces. It doesn't matter. You can borrow two of my handbags. It does not matter. You're free. Open access. For example, the hospital is free to call me any hour of the day or night. Any hour. You can say we're still using any plus nouns here. any is acting like an adjective and it's describing hour. Any hour. Any outfit. Outfit here is a noun. Outfit, handbag, shoes are all nouns, and any is describing each. Ability. Any able bodied adult can participate in the walkathon. So, as long as you're an adult and you are healthy or you are able to participate in the walkathon, you can walk. Any is not a specific number, it's an open ended selection. Any able bodied adult. Indefinite choice. Choose any toy you want for your birthday. Take a child to a toy store and say, hey, choose any toy you want for your birthday. We don't know which toy the child will choose, but anyone is okay. It's non specific. We're going to look at hidden or implicit negatives, any. And this is used in negative affirmative sentences. So we just looked at positive affirmative sentences where everything was open and like a free choice. But now we're going to look at negative affirmative sentences. Let's see what this is all about. Hidden, meaning implicit, any, talks about the use of the word any in negative affirmative sentences to mean none at all. So this is like quite the opposite. Before it was open, free choice. Now it's none at all. So, what is this negative affirmative sentence? Grammatically, the sentences are affirmative, but they carry a negative meaning because of the words surrounding any. Before, we had positive affirmative sentences, which were open, free choice, and the sentences were affirmative. Here, these sentences are also affirmative, but they have a negative meaning because of certain words that are being used alongside the word any. So let's look at those. So, examples of these um, negative meaning words: scarcely, hardly, without. Let's see how they're used. Here are some common situations for negative affirmative any. Affirmative structure. So the sentence is an affirmative sentence. There is scarcely any water in the trough. It's affirmative because there is no presence of the word not. There is not is not in this sentence, right? So, but the meaning is almost none to no water in the trough. So this is a trough. Here, there is scarcely any water in the trough. Scarcely here means almost none to no water in the trough. Scarcely any water. So when this talks about carrying a negative meaning because of the words surrounding any, the word surrounding any in this sentence is scarcely. Do you see this? So this is a negative affirmative sentence. The sentence is affirmative, but it carries a negative meaning because of the word scarcely coupled with any. Scarcely any. meaning almost none to no water. So, what's a trough? Trough is a noun and it's a long, narrow, open container used to hold water or food for livestock. It's for animals on the farm. Livestock is like horses, cows, pigs, goats, sheep, these kinds of animals on the farm. I've actually seen a trough that is made from concrete. It's a fixture. So it doesn't have to be like a detached container. It could be something that's permanently built. Without. Let's look at the word without. The affirmative structure, she left without any medicine. What's the meaning? It has a negative meaning. She did not have medicine when she left. So without, this word without, it gives negative meaning when it's coupled with any, meaning did not have medicine. Do you see this? So the word not isn't present in the affirmative sentences, but because of certain words, they have that negative tone. Let's continue looking at some common situations for the negative affirmative any here. Just to remind us of the rule, grammatically, the sentences are affirmative, but they carry a negative meaning because of the words that surround the word any. We looked at the word scarcely. We said scarcely any water, and without any medicine. Now we're going to look at the third, which is using failed or refused. The affirmative structure, the man refused to give any information. The word that surrounds any, that gives that negative tone, is refused. His mouth is zipped tight. Meaning of this structure is negative. He gave no information. The fourth, two, the excess negative. The affirmative structure is it is too late for any changes. The surrounding word that we're focusing on here is the word too. It has that excess negative tone to it. So here, the meaning is negative. Changes cannot be made now. Changes cannot be made now. It's too late. The word not isn't present in these two affirmative sentences. The sentences give negative meanings because of the words that surround any. And in these two examples, the words are refused and to. The word any in these four examples implies zero result or a negative result, even though the word not is physically missing in these affirmative sentences. You guys see this? Okay, let's look at any in conditional sentences. General neutral meaning. In most conditional clauses, any act as a neutral word meaning at least one or some. Any is used when it's not known if the condition will happen. There's uncertainty. You don't know if the condition will happen. For example, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. If you have any suggestions, we don't know if this person will give any suggestions, right? It's not known. This is the if clause. If you have any suggestions, meaning any means there might be one suggestion, five suggestions, or zero suggestions. There are no expectations. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Number two, any versus some in conditionals. While any is neutral and have no expectations, some in conditionals implies expectation with a yes answer. Okay, so this is quite the opposite to any inconditionals. Example, any, which is neutral. If you find any mistakes, tell me. I don't know if there are mistakes. I really don't know. But if you find any mistakes, tell me. Example, with some, now we have an expectation. If you find some mistakes, tell me. I suspect there may be mistakes. So I expect you to tell me when you've come across those mistakes. So if I say, if you find any mistakes, tell me. I don't know if there is any mistake. I'm just saying, if you find any. But here, if I say, if you find some mistakes, tell me. I know that there is a possibility that there are mistakes. I suspect that there are some mistakes. So when you find them, please let me know. See the difference? Okay. Conditional, any, behaving like negative sentences. If clauses behave like negative sentences, making the word any sound natural in them, even though the clauses aren't technically negative. Any means none at all or zero. Conditional. If I had any money, I would buy diamonds. We have been seeing throughout the lesson that any fits very well in negative situations. This conditional context highlights the person's total lack of money because the if clause, if I had any money, implies a negative reality, which makes the word any fits perfectly. Here is a real negative sentence. I don't have any money. I can't buy diamonds. So here we have do not have and can't buy, cannot buy. So right through and through, this is a negative sentence. And yet the conditional sounds just as negative. Do you see this? The negative, I don't have any money. I can't buy diamonds. The conditional, if I had any money, I would buy diamonds. Sounds just as negative. The fourth point, the phrase, if any, in conditionals. Example, we must follow the greetings protocol, if any, to avoid gossip. If any usually goes between commas, and we can see that here. Here's a comma, if any, then comma again. Another characteristic of the phrase if any in conditionals. If any follows the noun or noun phrase it refers to. In this sentence, we have a noun phrase, greetings protocol, and if any follows the noun phrase, greetings protocol. Do you see that? Here's a fifth point for conditionals with unless plus any. Unless means if not or except if. That's what unless means. Some notes to bear in mind about unless. Unless is not the opposite of if, just to make that clear. Unless is a special kind of if. Unless is used for negative conditions, and unless does not replace every use of if. You will often see any in unless clauses because it naturally fits a negative condition. And we've been seeing that from the very beginning of this lesson. Any really fits very well with anything that's negative. Example, unless you hear any updates, assume everything is the same. Explanation, unless you hear any updates means if you don't hear any updates. If you don't hear any updates, assume everything is the same. Do you see this? Example, unless you have any questions, we will end the lesson. Explanation, we will end the lesson except if you have any questions. So see, we're seeing except if being used here for unless. So in the first example, we saw if you do not. So if not, now we see except if being used in the explanation of the second example. This explains why any fits well. Any usually appears in negative or not sure situations. Mini practice exercise. Choose the correct option, if or unless. You see any mistakes? Tell me. If you see any mistakes, tell me. I agree with that. Two, you have any more ideas? We'll finish the class now. Unless you have any more ideas, we'll finish the class now. We leave at 5 p.m. There are any delays? We leave at 5 p.m. unless there are any delays. Negative plus any. Any often emphasizes that not even a small amount exists. Any always emphasizes that. We've seen that from the beginning of the lesson. Not even a small amount. However, in negative sentences, any shows that the amount or number is none or zero. In a lot of circumstances, we see any meaning, not even a small amount. But in negative sentences, any shows that the amount or the number is none or zero. For example, I don't have any money. I do not have any money. This is a negative statement because it has do not have. That's the verb. Do not have. The explanation, I have no money at all. None. We haven't made any progress. We have not made any progress. This is a negative statement. Any in this means we have made no progress at all. No progress. Example, there aren't any tickets left. There are not any tickets left. So this also is a negative statement. Aren't is negative. There are no tickets left at all. None. Zero. Zilch. Do you get this? Some mini practice. Complete the sentences. I don't have time today. I don't have any time today. Negative. There aren't cookies left. There aren't any cookies left. Zero cookies. Zero cookies. She didn't mistakes. She didn't make any mistakes. Means zero mistakes. So I have gone ahead and prepared a cheat sheet for you so that in your practice exercises, you will have some help because it's quite a lot to remember. Here's your cheat sheet. What's a cheat sheet? A cheat sheet is a sheet of notes that can be referred to for help in understanding something that is difficult, right? That's a cheat sheet. And here's the cheat sheet. So we have any as pronoun, and put a little note and the examples, and any plus free choice, negative plus any, which is the last thing we just looked at, any plus offer, request and invitation, com- any with comparative, and I put little notes and examples so that it can help you. So I would say make a screenshot of this page or make a copy, however you want to do it, and keep it so that when you're doing your practice exercises, you will not have a problem. You will have some help. Practice exercise number 1. Read the conversation and answer the questions that follow. Pause the video and read the conversation between Anna and Ben. When you finish reading, I'll go through a few of the questions with you. So let's do a few together. Number 1, underline sentences that are questions. So, of course, there are multiple sentences that have questions. So, we'll just work on one together. If you said, do you have any free time today? I totally agree with you. It's a question. Double underline the negative sentences. So let's find one together. A negative sentence. I don't have any this morning. I would double underline this sentence. I don't have any this morning. If you decided on that, I agree with you. How about number 3? Box any used as pronouns. So whenever you see the word any and it's being used as a pronoun, put a little box around it. I totally agree here. I don't have any this morning. So the question was, do you have any free time today? And Ben said, not much. I don't have any. Any what? Any free time. So instead of using the word free time again, because it's understood that that's what they're talking about, you just say, I don't have any. See that? Question number 4. Identify any used as adjectives. Place the sentence in brackets and then write the count noun or the non-count noun that any describes and label the noun accordingly at the end of the line. So we have a lot of things to do here. First, we're going to identify any as an adjective. We start again from the beginning and we look. Any as an adjective. Hi, Ben. Do you have any free time today? This any is going to be an adjective because it is describing free time. Free time is a noun phrase. Free time is the noun phrase that any describes. Any is an adjective. Place the sentence in brackets. So we need a bracket here and a bracket here. Bracket, same thing as parentheses, right? Okay, here. Then write the count noun or non-count noun that any describes. So any is describing free time. So it's going to be what? That's the exactly. And label the noun accordingly. So is this a count noun or a non-count noun? It's a non-count noun phrase. Non-count noun phrase. I completely agree. So that's how you answer number 4. Pay attention to each instruction. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 instructions in number 4. Okay, number 5. Identify any used as offers or requests and label it accordingly at the end of the line. We have to look for the word any and see where it's being used as an offer or a request. Okay, so here we have the word any. Do you have any free time today? It's an indirect offer because I'm asking you if you have any free time. I'm asking you if you have free time because I'm indirectly offering you some kind of help. When you're doing exercises like these, it's important that you read the sentence where you could possibly find the answer. Read the sentence before, if there's one. Read the sentence after, if there's one. Here, Anna said, Hi, Ben. Do you have any free time today? And then he says, Not much. I don't have any this morning, but I am free later though. But then she went on to say, That's okay. Would you like any help with your homework? That's why she's asking him if he has any free time, because she wants to help him with his homework if he has homework. So it's not a direct offer, it's an indirect offer. Some people say indirect, some people say indirect. Both pronunciations are okay. There are many more answers here. Pause the video, go through all 5 questions again. Remember, number 4 has many parts, and complete this exercise. When you're finished, press play to see the answers. Here are the answers. Did you get them right? Practice exercise 2. Read the conversation and answer the questions that follow. Some lines appear in more than one answer. We'll work on a few together. Pause the video and read the conversation. I attach a copy of the cheat sheet for my reference because I'm going to do a few of these with you. Okay, let's get started. Which line shows any used as an adverb in comparative? So if you don't remember what adverb in comparative is, you can look down here and here, any as adverb plus comparative, and it will tell you the meaning. And it's used mainly with comparative adjective, comparative adverb, and it gives you an example. And if you notice the examples here, any, colder, any, faster, those words are in bold. So we're looking for a comparative here. In this conversation, which line shows any used as an adverb in comparative? What do you have? Line 2, any easier. So if we look at line 2, it says not any really. It hasn't gotten any easier. Any easier, any plus the comparative easier. So if you write line 2, any easier, I agree with you. The next one, which line shows any used as an abstract concept? What do you have? Okay. Line 1, any progress, right here. Have you made any progress? Progress is a concept. Do you see this? Have you made any progress on the event schedule yet? So I agree with that. How about number 3? Which line shows any or some used in an offer, request, or invitation? For each question, you can pause the video and answer the questions since we're working on this together. What do you have? Okay, line 3, any help. No worries. If you need any help, just ask me. So this person is actually making an offer. If you need any help, just ask me. Lena is making an offer. And remember, you have the cheat sheet here that can help you. Which line shows any used for free choice? Where any means it doesn't matter which. So you can look down here and find free choice. Here's free choice. Any plus free choice. It doesn't matter which. Take any seat. Do you see that? Free choice. So this is an example of what free choice looks like. So in our passage, which line is free choice? What do you have? Line 5. Line 5. It says any of the experts. And there are some words missing, which is here. So line 5 says, yes, we can invite any of the guest experts from last year. It's a free choice. We can invite any of the guests. It doesn't matter which guest. Which line shows any in a negative statement? According to our cheat sheet, negative plus any showing absence. He doesn't have any courage. So the verb is
What
does
do you
not
have?
have. Line 2. Not any, really. Lena asks Marco, have you made any progress? Marco's response actually means, I have not made any, really. So the verb here is have not made plus any. That satisfies the negative plus any rule. There are more answers to these questions. I only did the first 5 with you, so you can go ahead and find the others for each question. Here are the rest. Use your cheat sheet to help you with the rest. Pause the video. When you're finished, press play to see the answers. Here are the answers. Did you get them right? Well, we've come to the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. And before we go, please write in the comments the last sound you hear in this video. See you in the next lesson. Goodbye.